Okay, while this panel is assembling, and because Commissioner Carlman mentioned it, we do have a table like right there on the other side of the doors. That's just an open materials table. If you have handouts that are relevant to state trust land management that you want to provide, please feel free to use that as a resource and check out what other folks have brought. Thank you.
Yeah, there should be a clicker up here for whoever's going to run the PowerPoint, and then all the microphones should have a switch on them to turn them on and off, and I'll run the volume level. Who's going to be clicking through the PowerPoint? Cool.
Okay, well, we'll just go ahead and get right rolling into this. So I hope you all have had enough food and coffee, because if you've been paying attention to the agenda, you'll see that we're going to get a little bit more engaged with the folks at our tables. So I'd like to introduce some representatives from the Office of State Trust Lands to you all, and they're going to be making a little presentation on their current public engagement processes, sort of set the ground, and then we're going to actually pose a couple of questions to all of you in the audience, and we'll have you at your small tables discuss that, and then we'll share out at the end. So just to quickly introduce my fellow panelists, we have Ben Bump with me, who's the Assistant Director, and then we also have Erica Jensen, Land Management Supervisor, and Melissa DeFratis for the Communications and Policy Analyst. So thank you all very much, and without further ado, I'd love to just jump into the presentation you have and take it from there.
Great, thanks Callie, and thanks for having us here today. Erica and Melissa and I get to talk to you briefly about one of the most important things our office does, and one of the most fulfilling, which is serving our customers and the public. And so we've been asked to present on all of the ways that OSLI currently interacts with the public, from all the resources that are available to the formal comment periods that we have and everything in between. We're hoping this information is going to be very helpful for going into your group discussions, along with everything you've heard today already. Those discussions about opportunities for collaborative conversations about optimizing trust assets and suggestions for meaningful public engagement moving forward. So first off, I'm just going to discuss the sort of day-to-day and individual opportunities for the public to interact with our office. So number one, in person, right? The best kind of interaction. My favorite anyway. Folks can come down to the office and we'll get them what they need, whatever that might be. Our office is on the first floor of the Hirschler building in Cheyenne, and it's open from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. I feel like it's an advertisement here. But customers from all walks can stop in at any time, call us up and make an appointment about something specific that they need. Any given day in our public area, you might find lessees in to pay on rentals or renewals, new customers filling out applications, a landman examining a mineral lease file, or maybe a hunter looking for a good tip on some state land in Elk Area 7. In addition to our Cheyenne location, we also have 2 field offices, one in Buffalo at the Veterans Home and in Lander right there on Main Street. Another opportunity for public engagement with our office is a site visit with our field staff. You heard Jason mention earlier that there's not that many of them, but we do receive requests from lessees, permittees, public users to meet in person on state land. Some of those could include reviewing a project proposal on the ground, determining if a parcel is accessible for recreation, or unfortunately, sometimes to document misuse or resource damage occurring on state land. Our field staff is few and far between, but give us a call and we'll get something set up. Next up is our customer portal. This is kind of a new addition, so it's exciting to talk about. In December of last year, we deployed an online portal for customers to conduct their state land business. Online service is now available to current and prospective lessees and permittees of state trust lands, includes viewing lease and permitting information, viewing and paying rental, renewal, and other payments by both credit card and e-check, submitting new lease and permit applications, or submitting a variety of requests to OSLI. There's also what I think is a pretty cool live chat feature, so you can chat directly with any of our employees and get help in real time. And if the public or customers would like to contact us directly, they can do that by phone or email. Our main phone line, as you can imagine, stays pretty busy, but we also have a great contact us page on our website that has every one of our staff phone numbers and emails listed out by programs, so the public can get directly to who they need for any topic. And finally, public records requests are another avenue for the public to interact directly with OSLI. Like all state agencies, we frequently receive and respond to requests to provide records per the Wyoming Public Records Act. Additionally, the public area in our office in Cheyenne is available to examine any of the agency's records in person at any time. Melissa here just happens to be our official public records contact for anyone that wants to know. But for now, she's going to walk through the various media that OSLI utilizes to reach the public. The first one is a microphone.
So thank you, Ben. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. As Ben said, I'm Melissa DeFratis, and I'm responsible for OSLI's public communications efforts. I've been with the state for 14 years, and I had the pleasure to join OSLI about 1.5 years ago when they created this position, and I've had fun getting to know OSLI and all the things that we do there. And in my capacity, this is really exciting for me because I'm new and I really want feedback. We need feedback and I'm begging for it. So please give it to me, good or bad. So I'm going to walk you through the different ways right now that we use the media forums. First is the website. This is our most comprehensive resource, and I like to call it our encyclopedia. This is where I go when I research a project. It's my first stop. I have access to the rules, the statutes, and all the information the agency supplies on this. Then when I work through the next step, I call in staff to help design flyers and draft notices and write short articles. But these efforts are intended to be high-level summaries. I cannot give you all the information. And that is why when I produce things, I try to give you links to the encyclopedia and the exact place that I'm talking about, such as a chapter rule or staff contact information or the exact web page. The other resource we have is the Gov Delivery email service. For those of you that aren't familiar with that, we have a subscribe at the top of our web page, and you click on that, you put in your email, and you select the topics that you want to get notices on. It's pretty flexible and user-friendly, and I suggest that you do that if you haven't already. Like many other agencies, we use Gov Delivery to notice important dates and events like board meetings, public hearings, and we announced the latest edition of our newsletter, which it brings me to the newsletter. We launched this project about 1.5 years ago, and it was an attempt to get another way to reach out to the public. We distribute it electronically only, and my Gov Delivery notice always gives you a link straight to it, and Ben also helps post it in the news and notices section on the website. In the newsletter, I try and highlight programs, report on actions at board meetings, and again, reiterate important dates and events that are coming up. When I can, I provide links to the web page again, and rules, and make it easy for you to click and get straight to what we're talking about. My contact information is at the end always, and I want feedback. I have had 2 people give me feedback in a year. I'd like to increase that, so give me your ideas. What do you want to hear about? And what you did or didn't like. I have thick skin, so don't worry about my feelings. We've also increased our production on special publications. it's ideas that come to us where we think maybe there's a higher level of interaction we need, or awareness we need to give out to the public. And it's also a way that we are developing presentations for meetings and forums like this. So in January, this year we've done 4 so far. And in January, we mailed a flyer to every single leaseholder to highlight the property tax situation and possible legislation coming up. We summarized our supplemental budget request, and we talked about the new customer portal. In March, our great staff helped me stuff 2,400 envelopes with flyers to our grazing and agricultural lessees. We designed the flyers as an educational reminder of what subleasing on state lands, the requirements. And in some cases, that requires board approval. Our purpose was to let know people may be, families may be passing down their responsibilities, and somebody's inherited and not realized that they need approval of that sublease. So it was purely educational. It wasn't to ding anybody and say that they're doing anything wrong. The timing was important because some leases start to go through the renewal process in August. And if they do need board approval, the board only meets every other month, so they needed to get going. The result of this, from our staff's point of view, was we had tons of calls. And they had to actually make time to return calls in their calendars. And generally, everybody was appreciative of this. They had no idea, and they really wanted to get their obligations straightened out on their lease. The last 2 publications we put out are out here today in the forum, if you've seen them. The agency overview we designed for new legislators, but I handed it out to all legislators at the beginning of the session. It's just a brief overview of who we are and what we do. Again, high level. And Ben and I recently finished the recreation flyer, and it gives him something to take around as he's doing recreational collaboration efforts and forums like today. We use newspapers for lease auctions, land transactions, and vacant grazing leases, formal publications. Lastly, but certainly not least, is our stakeholders. Sharing the information out for us with your memberships or your friends is incredible. And as an example to that, in December, when we were launching the customer portal, I reached out to the good Mr. Magagna at the Stock Growers Association and asked if he would help get the message out to his members. And he graciously agreed. There is no other way that I could guarantee that all of those members actually saw that information. So Mr. Magagna, thank you again for doing that. In conclusion, I'm going to beg for feedback. Just contact me. And in the future, if you walk away from here saying, I should have said this or I should have said that, and I'm not sure who to contact, get a hold of me and we'll make sure that you have the conversation. With that, I will turn it back over to Ben for his next presentation on public meetings.
Thanks, Melissa. Feedback. We're going to remind you about that down the road. So earlier today, you heard about the boards and how the Wyoming Office of State Lands and Investments serves as the administrative arm of those boards and carries out the directives and decisions of those boards. As far as meetings go, the boards hold their open public meetings every 2 months with special meetings added as needed. An interesting fact is that prior to the year 2000, the boards actually met monthly. And then for the past 5 years, we've averaged about 16 meetings per year with the CARES Act and the ARPA programs being added in. For any item that is going to be considered by the board for action at a regular meeting, the office prepares a board matter with the director's recommendation, and those matters, along with the public meeting notice, are made available to the public at least 7 days prior to the meeting. The meetings are currently held in a hybrid format, in person in Cheyenne with an online option, so the public can attend and provide comments on any matter in front of the board. In addition to board meetings, our office occasionally holds special meetings and hearings to provide information and hear from the public on important topics. A recent example would be the public hearings held for the Callie parcel disposal that were held around the state in Jackson, Cody, Casper, and Cheyenne. And anytime the board considers a land transaction of any kind, be it a disposal, an acquisition, or an exchange, Chapter 26 of the board's rules require that a hearing be held in the affected county or counties. More recently, State Lands has been participating in the outdoor recreation collaboratives across the state that the Wyoming Office of Outdoor Recreation facilitates. The collaboratives bring together local community members, stakeholders, federal agencies, and state agencies to support sustainable outdoor recreation growth. I believe there's currently 8 of those collaboratives across the state, and our state land staff is attending those to provide information on state lands leasing and permitting processes related to outdoor recreation or anything else state lands. And then finally, from time to time, various programs of state lands will hold trainings on specific topics for the public and customers. Over the years, those have included topics such as mineral royalty reporting, CARES Act, ARPA, and various other community grants and loans programs. Now, another area of interest to many here is OSLI's leasing and permitting processes and the opportunities that exist for public engagement in those. And so for an overview generally of that process, we'll turn it over to Erica.
Good afternoon. I would just need to say I was freezing all morning, and that is 100% gone. It's hot up here, just so you know. And I feel like my subject might be even a little hotter, so bear with me as I give a brief overview. And when I say overview, every lease is unique. So I can just do my best, and we'll get through it here. But so the first process is we would be the lessee would have an opportunity to comment on a complete application. We've already talked about that this morning, so we would need some information from anybody that had interest out on that parcel, say an easement or a TUP. We would need a comment form or a consent form to consider that application complete. After the application is completed, our internal group will give a brief overview, making sure we own the land, seeing what the acres are, seeing what the site looks like. We do all that internal. Then we share that information with our sister agencies. That would be Wyoming Game and Fish, SHPO, DEQ, anyone that would have interest in that land. The reason why we share that information and give them a heads up that things are coming their way, we want them to review it. What if there's sage grouse in that area? We need to know. What if there's natural resources that need to be reviewed? This is their opportunity to review that and give us input, which the input is actually called a stipulation. When we get those stipulations from our sister departments, that stipulation goes with the lease throughout its life. An example I can give you of a stipulation is, I've already said it, but sage grouse. If there's a lek within a certain amount of miles of this project, there is rules that go along with that. There's timing, there's location, there's things like that that the Wyoming Game and Fish really understand a lot better than we do. So those stipulations go along to the board and to the director's decision. Let's see, what do we have next? After we get input from our group and from the external review, and it's, I guess, passed or agreed on, a board matter is created. And that's when it gets exciting, right? So a board matter is created, and like Ben said, 7 days before a board meeting, the complete agenda is given to the public. So the public, this is your first time to really interact with what State Lands has going on or going to that board meeting. 7 days, we notify on all the streams that we have available, and also that Gov delivery is very important. We'll let you know, hey, the board meeting, here's some things you might want to review about those. So if and when the board approves those leases, the leases fall into two separate buckets, which is our bottom two here. Either the lease needs no additional requirements, I hate to say no additional, because the county always has opportunity for permitting those TUPs or easements or anything like that. But this bucket is the grazing leases, the TUPs, the easements, and some well bores on our sites. The second bucket is, I want to read it to you so you know exactly what the second bucket is, because that's kind of what we're addressing here, is the solid minerals, wind, carbon storage sequestration, the SUs, some oil and gas leases. These projects proceed to the regulatory permitting process. After they've been approved by state lands, or excuse me, the Board of Land Commissioners, they go to these other permitting processes. Why these are not under our control, some of those sister departments would be DEQ, and they would do things with the environment. All these projects still have permitting opportunities and opportunities for the public to meet with them. I did review a mining lease with DEQ, and it looks like they have two different requirements that they have to notify the public, 2 different times, and then they have a 30-day comment period. And I also heard back from 2 counties with the same kind of process. They meet 2 times a month where public comment is accepted and wanted, and then they also have 3 different notifications sent out to their public. So these are just opportunities for the public to talk about what's going on in their communities, and that being said, I'll turn it over to Ben.
Thanks, Erica. So just a few more items that we wanted to note that have public involvement opportunities worked in. Whenever the Board of Land Commissioners or the State Loan and Investment Board seek to adopt or change rules, opportunities for public comment are involved. Like all state agencies, we follow the Secretary of State's rules on rules process, and there are a number of different scenarios and requirements that could exist depending on the situation, but generally speaking, our office would create draft rules to be presented to the board in a public meeting, which would provide an opportunity for comment. If the board approves the office to move forward with a regular rulemaking process, the proposed rules would then be available for public comment for a minimum of 45 days. Then those proposed rules would go back in front of the board for approval at another open board meeting with another opportunity for public comment. So 3 separate public comment periods are available with rules changes. Land transactions are another process that involves the public at multiple steps. Once a proposed land transaction passes the initial internal review process, it goes in front of the board, first in an executive session and then in an open public board meeting, to approve the office to move forward with the analysis of the transaction. And then once that analysis is completed, it's published out to the public and hearings are held in the affected county or counties. All of that then goes back to the board at least one more time for consideration in an open public board meeting. And then finally, whenever we receive a request for the Board of Land Commissioners to implement any kind of recreation restriction on a parcel of state lands, we follow a process to seek public input. First, we post notice directly on the parcel that is under consideration for a restriction, and we accept public comment for at least 30 days through our website. And then if that restriction is to ultimately move forward, that then goes to a board meeting, land board meeting with another opportunity for public comment. So to wrap it up, OSLI utilizes a wide variety of media and resources to provide information to and to be available to the public. So hopefully we've given you a complete picture of the opportunities for public involvement in the processes of our office and the boards that we serve. So with that, we'll hand it back over unless Erica or Melissa have any final comments.
I do. I really want to thank the Ruckelshaus Institute for putting this together. Like I said, I find it really valuable, and I want to thank everyone here for coming and attending it. Your time is valuable, and so you felt this is important. We do too. So thank you very much for everybody's efforts.
Thanks, everyone. So we'll go ahead and jump into small group discussions. And so if you're just one or two at a table, please don't be shy, join in with some others. And what we'll do is we'll pose 3 different questions for you all to discuss, and then we'll sort of briefly discuss it at the end of the session. And then during your small group discussions, we'll have representatives from OSLI floating around to help answer any questions, flesh out any details you might have. But go ahead and join up with some others at other tables if you're alone. But to get things rolling, some of the questions we'd love for you all to discuss at your tables are, based on what was shared by OSLI today, what would you like to see more of, or what would you like to see changed? And then also, what kind of opportunities do you all see within your tables for good collaborative conversations that can optimize trust assets? And then lastly, based on who you are, like who are you in the room in terms of the groups you represent? Are you here representing agricultural communities and grazers? Are you recreationalists? Or are you here representing local communities? And based on those demographics, how would you best like to receive your information regarding state trust lands? Is that through newspapers, radio, social media, email listservs? These are some of the other things that OSLI would love to learn from you. So we'll be floating around the room, but please feel free to submit your questions using the QR code, or your answers with the QR code on the tables, or we'll be going around in a little while and picking up information, or feel free to use note cards on your table as well. But jump in with some others, and if you need us to repeat or have any other questions, we're here to answer any more of those questions.